Just don't cry. You can rely on me, honey. You can combine anything you want. What's up, everyone? Welcome to finally another episode of the AxPx podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Sean Dreger. Thanks for checking out the show after such a long hiatus. It's been probably a little over 2 months since the last show. And, of course, as I mentioned, the last show was because my new son was being born. So I had to take care of that. And I really missed doing the show. I really wanted to do the show. I even bought a brand new mic cord right after my son was born and never got around to getting another show done until now, because it's just been such a crazy time adjusting to life with 3 kids. So as our third, his name's Noah, and he's a little cutie. So thanks for taking letting me take care of business there and being patient for the next show. And today's just gonna be kind of a little free forum, just me, and I have a lot of stuff I want to do for the show. I'm really excited for future shows here, and the people I'm going to talk to, and all the subjects we'll breach. So we'll dive back in. It's really hard to kind of dive back into kind of a I don't know, like a philosophical type mindset after when a baby's born. This was my third, and it's crazy. I mean, a lot of people are different, but a lot of people come from different backgrounds. But for me, seeing the birth of my third child was really kind of an eye-opening experience, especially with the struggles that I've had for the past few years with struggling on who God is God real, why are we here, and all that kind of stuff. And but seeing a life brought into the world is just it's kind of a mind-blowing experience. And if you haven't experienced it, it's kind of hard to really understand, I guess. But I guess these past couple months have been even more soul searching. Haven't been able to really to talk about it, 'cause I haven't been able to do the show. But I think for me, I think I'm more at a peace in my spiritual life. I'm just seeing a new little life born, his little perfect fingers and everything. It just shows that there's something out there that this little perfect baby was born, and it's not chance that he's here. It's just kind of a trip to think about. He's almost a little over 2 months. So 9 months plus 2 months, 11 months. I'm good at math, people. He wasn't even really a thought. He wasn't here, and now he's here, and now his life. He's going to grow up. He's going to go through teenage years, adult years. He's going to have his own struggles, and he's going to create things and go on to be, who knows what he's going to grow up to be. And that's just it's incredible to think about. And I've thought about it with my past 2 kids, and with the third one, kind of going through this again. I think especially now was really I think it was good for me, and I think I'm at a good place right now as far as my religion goes, whatever you want to call it, because I still don't think that I've really fallen into place with full 100% evangelical Christian, but I do believe that it's pretty much been confirmed to me in my life that there is a creator, and that we're all here for a purpose, and I guess it's finding what that purpose is the struggle, I guess. So anyway, I don't know, I guess a little short spiel on where I'm at. So the search continues, of course, and just been a lot going on, a lot on my mind as far as that goes. So I haven't really been digging into any real theological things, philosophical things. I've been keeping my eyes on the news, and I been trying to dive back in and trying to get some reading in, but I haven't really done too much yet. But once I'm getting the show back in full swing here, I think I'll be fine, and I'll be able to approach things and discuss them with everyone. And so what else have I been doing through this time off? I had a week off, took a week vacation, then I've been having Mondays and Fridays off work for the past 2 months, thanks to the state of California and their baby bonding time that they offer. You can take advantage of. So I've been doing that, and during the time off, I took up pipe smoking, and that's tobacco pipe, people. I didn't realize when I started talking to people about pipes that I would have to differentiate like what kind of pipe I was talking about. But it's tobacco pipe, like C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, and everyone asks me, people ask like, why would you want to smoke a pipe? And I say, well, I mean, I guess you can blame it on J.R.R. Tolkien and hobbits and wizards, but I'd always been kind of fascinated by it. And a couple of buddies have been talking about it, and I have a friend south of me that have been wanting to get together to have a pipe and some scotch. So I figured, heck, I'd jump into it, and I've been doing a lot of studying up on briar and good pipes and good tobacco and stuff like that. So that's been fun. It's been a little bit of a fascination for me. And the funny thing is when you're talking about pipe smoking, it's such a different thing than than like cigarettes or even cigars, because it's 'cause you have the pipe there. And number one, you need to take care of that pipe. You need to clean it every time you use it. You get the loose tobacco. You have to pack it in there correctly. You have to light it a certain way. I mean, it takes a lot of time to actually sit down and smoke a pipe. It's not like a cigarette where you just light it, suck it down for you're out there for 2 minutes. You suck that thing down, you go back in. Pipe smoking is more of a relaxed kind of. You just puff on it. You're not inhaling it, and kind of more of a contemplative thing. So that's been adjusting to 3 kids and everything. There's a stress level, so it's been a way for me, I guess, to kind of cope with that. But anyway, it's been pretty fun checking that stuff out. So I'm not going to encourage anyone to get into tobacco, because everyone gets the wrong idea. But I mean, if you study up on pipe smoking, the history of it, it's pretty fascinating stuff. And so now I have that. I bought an antique rack, and it's up there. And so if I ever get the urge, and if anyone comes over and wants to partake, it's there. So, and in the more healthy kind of habits that I picked up, my wife and I went to this cool little tea place in Temecula, California. I want to give them a little plug because they were so awesome. So we're into like these into teas, and this place has like over 60 brews or 60 tea brews that you can buy. They're called California Tea and Coffee Brewery, and you can check them out at caltcb.com. So they're on Twitter too. I'll put a little, give them a little shout out in the show notes. But seriously awesome. So that's a healthier thing for me and my wife to actually get into. We bought little jars, and we have our loose leaf tea in little jars that are labeled. Pretty nerdy about that. But anyway, so yeah, some rambling there. Let's jump into some news, because it's been a very interesting week news-wise. So we'll just do some of that right now. If I can get this going here, I always have trouble with it. Gotta get the music going, right? Gotta do it. All right. Well, the ACLU is in the news. They're suing on behalf of a small church that wants to distribute leaflets outside the Mormon temple in Brigham City, Utah, but can't because the city requires permits for its free speech zone. Evangelical pastors are suing New Orleans for the right to pass out leaflets in the French Quarter, especially during a massive gay pride party. So, that's their right. I think they have a right to do that. But I don't see what the point is handing out flyers, at a gay pride party. I don't really see the point of that stuff. They'll be used as toilet paper or other things. It was found out this week that Bill Clinton once considered becoming a Mormon. So that's pretty interesting information there that I don't really have more information on. But he couldn't accept the Mormon concept of the hereafter, so that's what kept him from actually becoming a Mormon. But he did consider it, which is very interesting. That's the music. Is it loud for you guys? It's loud for me. An Amish man in Ohio will spend 30 days in jail for firing a gun into the air. The bullet later landed and killed a 15-year-old who was driving her horse-drawn buggy more than a mile away. So I guess if you're a gun owner, be careful where you're shooting that thing. Even shooting it into the air can kill someone. The New York City Health Department met 2 days ago on whether to require consent forms for circumcision ceremonies in which the mohel sucks the blood from an infant boy. Critics say that the practice can result in passing on herpes and has resulted in infant deaths. I don't really know what to think about that. But I guess that's a good thing. An Australian doctor has lost his medical license after prescribing chemical castration for a gay teenager. The doctor is a member of the exclusive Brethren Christian sect. And finally, a professor breastfeeds in class, and students, of course, complain. Now, of course, there's two sides of this. There's the pro-breastfeeding camp that's saying, oh, that's fine, she has every right to breastfeed. And then there's the other side, not necessarily anti-breastfeeding, but it's like, this woman's at her job, and in the middle of the lecture, the story goes that she was, her daughter was sick, so she brought, instead of getting a babysitter, or maybe taking the day off of school, or, taking the day off, taking a sick day to take care of a sick child, she brought her sick child into the class and proceeded to breastfeed the baby as she was giving her lecture, and it didn't really offend any of the students, but I think it just kind of made things incredibly awkward. So, there's no news on what the actual what the school is going to do, but it kind of it's sparked another debate about breastfeeding. But I think it's simple as that. If your kid's sick, you should probably take the day off and take care of your kid. If you're a dad or a mother. They're trying to make this a sex thing, it's sexist that she has to take the day off. Well, I mean, there's times where I take the day off to take care of my kids if my wife has to work, so, And I think that's it for the news. We're going to talk a little bit, when we come back, I want to just talk a little bit about the violence in the Middle East sparked by this amateur film, allegedly. But first, I want to play some music. And the group I want to talk about, or I want to showcase for you guys, is the Candle Park Stars, and they have a new album out called Take Care and Safe Home. You can get it from them on Bandcamp. I think it's Bandcamp / the Candle Park Stars, or you can find them actually on Spotify to hear the whole album. But they're awesome. They're really laid back, kind of stuff, so I really like it. So the song is called Best Day of My Life. This is the Candle Park Stars. You're listening to the AxPx podcast, and we'll be back right after this. Not that. Still getting used to the live, trying to switch music live here. Try to be legit, people. Here we go. This is the Candle Park Stars. You're listening to the AxPx podcast. That's the Candle Park Stars on the AxPx podcast. I'm your host, Sean DeRager, and I really like that album. It's really awesome, and it's very much Explosions in the Sky inspired. The Candle Park Stars. Sorry, bleh, is it's LA-based film and television composer Kerry Muse, and he does this stuff all himself and records it. He has 3 albums. And all worth checking out. I mean, I heard his last album and bought the one before that, and then of course when this came out, I bought it right away. I would encourage you to, if you really like it, to go to the Bandcamp and buy it from him, support his music. It's good stuff. So I'll be playing more of him on the show. And again, it's the Candle Park Stars, and the album is called Take Care and Safe Home, and the song was called Best Day of My Life. So, okay. Alright, so let's move back into the show. Unfortunately, it's kind of a weird transition because unfortunately a lot of people did not have the best day of their life the other day. And it's really confusing on exactly what happened. I know that there was this really amateur film that was, and I think the trailer went out online, and a preacher out of Florida was talking about airing it at his first church, and some Muslims in Egypt got word of that, and I think there was some misunderstanding because they thought that the U.S. was airing this on all channels, and it portrayed the Prophet Muhammad as a sexual pervert, a womanizer, and a homosexual, and so people attacked the U.S. embassy in Egypt, and then the other day there was in Libya. They attacked the U.S. embassy in Libya, which isn't fortified with any military, and four Americans were murdered, including the U.S. ambassador J. Christopher Stevens, and a few others, and sparked a whole lot of conversation about Islam. Is Islam a violent religion? Is this just a crazy sect of Islam? Kind of like we have the Westboro Baptist type people. Of course, we don't have this in America, where a group of religious group in America will go and just attack another country's embassy. So of course that doesn't happen here, but of course it does happen in these Muslim nations. So I'm trying to read a lot about this, been trying to work a lot and take care of the kids and everything, but trying to keep up with this. And I found an article on the Religion News Service called "The 12 Essential Points About the Offensive Film on the Prophet Muhammad and the Subsequent Reactions in Libya and Egypt." And I'm going to kind of go through these. It's a well-written article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to kind of go through these. It's written by Omid Safi. He's a professor of Islamic Studies at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Number one, he says this is not an issue of freedom of speech versus religious sensitivity. He says every time that there is an offensive piece written to target Muslim sensitivities, there is the temptation to cast it as an issue of freedom of speech, held to be absolute versus the religious sensitivity of the Muslims. That framework is either unhelpful or, at best, only partially helpful. In reality, pieces like The Innocence of Muslims so-called film are best classified as hate speech, and they seem to be of the same genre as anti-Semitic films of the 1930s or Birth of the Nation KKK movies. Kind of disagree with that point. I mean, whether or not it's considered hate speech or whatever, we're in the U.S., we're covered by the Constitution and the freedom of speech. You can pretty much say whatever you want. You have the right to be a bigot and an asshole. And having another country, a sect of people in another country react this way in violence is just, is insane. And, there's word that the filmmaker is in hiding and the U.S. government's trying to seek him down. It's like, leave the guy alone. The guy's a racist, a bigot, and, he has that right to put that crap out there, but we don't have to watch it. We don't have to support it. And in fact, we should condemn it. But to kind of give this violence a pass, kind of rubs me the wrong way. So anyway, that's my thought on that point. But let's move on to point number two. Al Qaeda, not Libyans, is behind the murder of the U.S. ambassador. That news came out a little bit later on in the day, and that the assassination of the U.S. ambassador is not the work of the Libyan people or religious groups, but rather the operation of Al Qaeda. And you can kind of conspiracy theorize it or whatever. But he also says the overlapping timing with the anniversary of 9/11 lends credit to this being an Al Qaeda plot that was pre-planned. So does the heavy amount of weaponry carried by the assault on the U.S. compound. So it could be two separate things that got lumped together. What's important to note. And of course, you can take that with what you will. I kind of, when I started seeing the news come through, I started thinking, oh, there we go. The U.S. is changing the story. Let's blame it on Al Qaeda. They're easy to blame it on, kind of like the Nazis. You can just blame it on Al Qaeda, but there is significant evidence that it is possibly an Al Qaeda assassination attempt in the Libyan with the Libyan violence there in Libya. The Egypt attack on it wasn't really an attack on the Egypt. They were just they took down a flag and raised up another flag and stuff like that. So, number 3, the Libyan authorities and religious scholars have condemned this attack. It's important to know. Number 4, the Libyan people have demonstrated against the assassination of the ambassador, which is true. There's a lot of moving pictures, not moving as in moving as in. I appreciated seeing them. But a lot of the Libyan people having signs that say, we are against terrorism, or for the U.S. This is, this is wrong. They condemn this violence in Libya. Number 5, the producers of the film openly admit to being Islam haters, which really they have every right to say that. And this is where I kind of differ on the author here, and I'll post a link to this in the show notes. The person originally identified as the producer, Sam Basil, is a shadowy fictional figure. Whoever the producer is, he has now gone into hiding, having achieved his insidious aim of throwing fuel on the flame. I think the author is taking things a little too far here. Like I said, I think people have the right to say anything they want, and we shouldn't really bend to, if another country, some other group of people say they're going to incite violence based off of someone who's protected in the U.S. Under free speech. I don't think we should encourage that. So there's a lot more information on that there. And I'd love to hear your opinions on this as well. Number 6, that the producer, whoever he is, has the right to produce his propaganda, even if it is hateful speech. Okay, I'm with him on that. But the author says, however, we do not have the obligation to provide him with a podium by offering him the very media access that he craves. Right, squash it with just ignore the guy. And really, that's what should have happened. Which brings me to the next point here. Number 7, the distribution of the film has benefited from Terry Jones, and he's a pastor from Florida that burned a Quran last year and made a big deal about it. And there was about a dozen people killed in violence in the Middle East over him burning a Quran. And now this guy, I think, is partially to blame because he took this stupid amateur video. And he has kind of a platform of speech that goes across the world, and the word got out of that he was going to show it. So, and he loves this. This guy Terry Jones is not coming out with any statement or anything like that. He's accomplished what he wanted to do, which is he wanted to show Islam as a violent religion, and these extremists basically made the point for him as far as the extremists go. So, Number 8, the YouTube film was picked up by a fringe group of Coptic radicals. Copts are an indigenous Egyptian Christians who have at times had a tense relationship with the Muslim majority, although the majority of the Copts supported the overthrow of Mubarak during their Arab Spring uprisings in Egypt. Mainstream Coptic organizations in Egypt have already condemned this movie, and the, quote, film, it's a piece of shit, it's really not a film, does not represent the views of Copts, which I agree. I actually have a coworker who's Coptic Christian, and they're not related at all to any sort of radicalism. Number 9, American Muslim organizations have uniformly condemned the assassination of the American ambassador. Good. Number 10, the violent response to assaults on the dignity of the Prophet is not the example of the Prophet himself. Simply put, this is not what Muhammad would do, which is right, which is crazy that we can lump it's not right to lump them in with Islam. This is a fringe group of Islam, kind of like I said, like these crazy Westboro Baptist type people, and we should somehow, I don't know how we do it. I don't have the answers. I don't know. But somehow condemn that act, and they should pay for their actions. Number 11, the producers of the film lied to their actors and crew about the content of the film. And all the actors have condemned the film. They are very embarrassed to have been involved with that at all, and have spoken out against the film. And then number 12, it says, the author here says that we have a choice how to respond. He says, "It is up to each of us, to decide which path to pursue. Each of us can choose to pursue the path of the extremists in the Jewish community that allegedly funded the film, the extremist in the Christian community that spread the film, or the path of the extremist of the Muslim community that reached to the film with violence." And film's always in quotes here. Or we can respond to these catastrophes the way that President Obama reacted to the anniversary of 9/11 by reminding us that our fates are bound up together. Obama said, "There's no them and us, it's just us." So, I like what he has to say here, and really, it's just tragic that people have to die based off of religious fanaticism, and that's one of the things that really make me, question a lot of things, and that's why I'm so skeptical about religion and stuff like that, because I don't, people blindly follow something, and a lot of the times the path that they blindly follow, can end up tragic, and you need to be skeptical about what you are getting wrapped up in, and look at all angles, and if it's taking you a path into extremism, that's definitely the wrong path to go. So, there's a lot more information on this. I'm sure a lot more information has come out as, past what I've read, but I thought that was I disagreed with Mr. Safi on a few of these points, but I really liked that someone got these 12 points out there, kind of laid the information out, because there's a lot of kind of confusion, and people were just getting wrapped up in the fanaticism of everything, and you know how these things go. If the more people talk about them, and just kind of just the way the internet is, it just the wrong information can spread very quickly. So this is a good tool to kind of have if you get in these conversations about that information. All right, I'm gonna move on from here. This week I wrote a little article on praise music, and I really like praise music. It's relaxing to me if you find the right stuff. And the kind of praise and worship artists that I listen to are very more acoustic, and really great, really soothing. And a lot of the times it's really I connect with praise and worship music. But a strange thing happened this week when I was listening to an album by let's see here, by Antioch Worship, and I really like what Antioch is doing. They're in Southern California here. They kind of have a couple branches, and recently at a church, they do I think it's a Sunday night church service, and I do want to get one of the pastors on the show sometime to talk about some stuff. But they're really cool. They're not necessarily a church. I guess they're a church, but Antioch. This is Antioch Temecula, and then there's one, and I think in Long Beach. I can't remember exactly where. There's a couple campuses, but they really kind of push the boundaries of conversation. And when I was starting up the show, actually, they were having these Sunday night debates between atheists, an atheist and a Christian, Buddhist and a Christian, stuff like that. And they were very open to discussing these types of issues, and was Jesus historical and stuff like that. So I really respect what they do, and they came out with a worship album, which is awesome. The music's amazing. I really, really like it. I was listening to this one song called the Job Song, and I just kind of started getting a little depressed. I was wondering why the heck was, why am I feeling this way? What about the song is kind of bringing me down? And I heard in the lyrics, I was listening to the lyrics, and I heard this chorus here, or it's not really a chorus, but it's part of the song. It says, with hearts bowed low and hands held high, we bless the name of our good God. Okay, so far so good. Who gives and takes, our hearts he breaks, that we might say, blessed be our God. And I'm listening to this, and I'm going, our hearts he breaks. With my Christian background, I've never thought about God up there wanting to break our hearts. He's not out there trying to beat us down to a pulp. And I really had kind of a reaction to these lyrics, and I wanted to read the whole song and just get the lyrics down and read them. And I, the song's beautiful, and I just could not get behind most of the lyrics. And I do have an issue with Job, did have an issue with Job, and I'll talk about it in a little bit here, but I do want to play the song for you. Musically, it's amazing. It's great. The rest of the album is incredible. Really is a good album, and I definitely don't want to bash them as songwriters and artists, I think. But I think theologically, I have an issue with writing a praise song on Job. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I do want to play the song for you here. And the song is called the Job Song. Let's see, I'm trying to bring it up here. Like I said, I'm trying to do everything live here so I don't have to edit. Because editing, it just takes time. But of course, wasting time, takes time too. Here we go. This is the Job Song by Antioch Worship. And listen to the lyrics, and then we'll chat about them in a little bit here. That's Antioch Worship with the Job song. Beautiful song. I mean, I'm not gonna knock the song musically, vocally. It's impeccable. It's great. It's beautiful. And they did it when I think this is the first song that I heard when I heard that they were doing a worship album. And I was really impressed with the video. There's a lot of passion in it. There's a reason it was written, and I mean, in the future, maybe I'll have the writer on here and they can talk about their take on it. My issue, I mean, for me, it just wasn't uplifting. And if I'm listening to worship music, I want it to be uplifting, that there's something bigger than me, something that's, that God's going to be taking care of me. He has me, stuff, things like that are worshipful, and build you up. So this song, with the lyrics, and when I was reading further, it says, the lyric is, "Though you slay me, I will trust in you, for you, my God, are my portion." I don't think God wants to slay us, and that was the main contention I had with this song. And I I started digging into Job and actually read most of Job. A few places I would scan here and there, and of course went to Wikipedia to see what Wikipedia had to say about Job. So I did write a little kind of editorial. It's called "The Plight of Job: Worshipping an Abusive Relationship." It's on the AxPx.com. You can read it there. But I'm going to kind of go through it here a little bit, and we'll talk about it. So when I posted kind of my little beef with the lyrics on Facebook, I had a friend of mine write that, these lyrics sound like an abusive relationship. And if you just take the lyrics themselves, if you take God out of it, and if you read through it, it's like, why would you, if the person that you love is trying to kill you, trying to slay you, trying to break your heart, you wouldn't necessarily go back to him. But in an abusive relationship, of course, the abusee, the victim, is still in love with the person that's beating them, that's abusing them, and they always, a lot of times, before they actually get help, go back to that person. So it's really interesting imagery there with this song, and it can, hey, it can be taken that way. The crazy thing is too about when you read Job, and the book of Job, and this is I'm a layman with this stuff. I'm not called the armchair philosopher. I'm not just being cute. I'm an armchair philosopher, right? I kind of look at things, and I'll go off on what I think, and I am probably totally wrong, but it's kind of what I read into it, and from my limited knowledge right now, right? I'm still learning and growing every day. That's the whole point of it. But some people try to spin the armchair philosopher, and I've had some negative comments on Facebook, on the page there, that that's like that it's a negative thing to be an armchair philosopher, and I don't think so. I don't hate armchair quarterbacks. I'm probably an armchair quarterback too. It's not a negative thing. So, of course, what I say here isn't, you can't, look at it as truth per se. From what I've seen, this is my opinion of it. All right. So before anyone starts getting pissed off that I'm giving bad information, this is, from what I read, this is what I understand. Okay. And if you think I'm wrong, definitely send me an email, Sean, SEAN, at theaxpx.com, and I would love to hear your opinion. That's what this show, I hope this show can be about, is a conversation between me and then you, the listener, and we can hash things out as the weeks go on. I may not have all the answers this week, and we can always revisit these subjects I talk about, okay? All right. Was that a rabbit trail? So Job, right. Job's a very interesting book, and I look at Job as kind of a metaphorical book, a story, a parable that Moses could have written to kind of show the Israelites, worst case scenario, that no matter what, they should lift God up and obey and trust God and love God and above all things, right? No matter what they're going through. I mean, they were wandering through the desert for like 40 years. And, so I feel like from what I've read, my limited knowledge here, that this was kind of like, look, Moses was saying, look, this 40 years in the desert, this isn't that bad. You can have all this happen to you, but you know what? No matter what, God is the creator. You need to worship him. So that's how I feel like Job was written, as kind of a parable. And so the story of Job goes, there's a man named Job, and he's the most righteous man in the land. He's like above everyone else. He always gives the best offerings. And Satan appears. And it's interesting because in Job's, God doesn't really know who, God acts like he doesn't know who Satan is. Let me just bring this up here. So they basically wage a bet. Satan says, look at this guy Job, you think he's so perfect. Well, I don't think he's really that perfect. I think you have your protective hand over him. And if he was in a little bit of trouble, if things got shaky and dicey, I don't think he'd really be all about you. So God says, all right, fine. You know what? I'm going to show you how faithful he is and how righteous he is. I'm going to take my hand of protection away, and you know what? Have at him. Basically, have at him. Don't kill him. Let me see here. I'm bringing up the Bible right now. It's from the English Standard Version. So here's what's interesting about Satan right in here. So it says here now in chapter 1 of Job, verse 6, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. The sons of God, I don't know who that is. And Satan also came among them. So I'm guessing, is this the angels, the sons of God? The Nephilim, which I really wanted to do an episode on the Nephilim. I have a little thing posted on the AxPx.com. So Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, from where have you come? Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down it. And the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and turns away from evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. It's interesting that God doesn't know where he came from, right? If God's omniscient, right, omnipotent, that he doesn't know where Satan came from. And Satan's among the sons of God. So it's a very interesting, there's like pieces of the puzzle here that seem to be missing. So back to my insanely limited overview of Job. So basically, Satan has the okay to do whatever. So 500 yoke of oxen and 500 donkey are carried off by Sabians. 7,000 sheep are burned up by, and now this is a quote from one of Job's workers. The fire of God which fell from the sky. Now remember, God is not touching Job. God gave Satan basically told Satan he can do whatever he wants. So I look at this, and when this says the fire of God which fell from the sky took all these sheep, that looks to me like, weather, lightning, something happened, forest fire, something like that happened. Not necessarily from God, but the people thought that God was punishing Job. All right? It's important to note, because remember, God is not touching Job. Okay, 3,000 camels stolen by the Chaldeans, and then all 10 of Job's children are killed by a mighty wind. And just as a mighty wind, I'm guessing tornado. All right? It collapses the house of his firstborn. They're all having a party. Something comes through. I'm guessing tornado. Rips the house apart. Boom. All 10 of his kids dead. All right? Now, once that happens, now here's where the song comes into play. Okay? He just finds out that his all his kids have been killed. And of course, they were eating and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house. Job says, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. So now, in his eyes, he's even thinking that God has it out for him. So if you take this praise song and look at it that way, it's just a song reflecting that moment, the song works. All right, I don't have a problem with the song if it's taken from that perspective right in that moment as Job's praying. I can dig that. That's great. But my contention is if you take this song and put it on a praise album, people are going to are singing it out like, they're not putting it in context with the story, and they're saying that it's okay that, oh God, you can crush me and I'll still worship you and everything like that. I have a friend who he'll always post on Facebook, that's bad theology. That's bad theology, I guess. I don't think you can take that song as a praise song. So, that's my contention. So, anyway, so then after this, in the book of Job here, Job contracts these hideous boils. I mean, the guy is just sick, his skin's screwed up, he's like scraping off the boils of his skin, it says in here. It's just really disgusting. And then, so then the rest of Job is Job in conversations with his wife. His wife's telling him, what is this? Oh, his wife is saying, curse God and die. His wife's saying, just curse God, tell him to fuck off, and die. And Job says, you speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So he's still a righteous guy. All right. Point of the story is, through all this, Job's a righteous guy. He has 3 friends that come through here, and they try to tell, and they give him their opinion, what he should do, And you can look at that as parallels with the New Testament. It's like 3 temptations, right? Jesus was tempted 3 times. But through all that, Jesus remained steadfast. So the rest of Job, Job is a really, really interesting book. For a while, Job he laments his birth. He wishes he was never born. This is like some serious, heavy stuff. This is a guy going through utter and complete shit, the worst day possible, and I guess not day, the worst, I don't know, month, 2 months, who knows, years. But this guy is just being dragged through the mud. He is depressed. He's suicidal. His wife is telling him to curse God and die. He's having these conversations with these friends that are trying to tell him what to do. And in all this, from Job's perspective, it is God doing all this to him, from his perspective, which I guess you can parallel that with the song, as being from that perspective, right? But when you look at Job as a whole, you get to the end of Job, it was, God had just taken his hand away. God did not touch Job at all. And then in the end of the story, he's rewarded for his faithfulness. He gets a new wife, maybe a new wife. I don't know if he gets a new wife or not. But he gets new animals. He gets a new, he gets everything back that he lost, like tenfold. So I get, that's my beef for the song. What was interesting is it was the first time I ever kind of had a beef with a praise song, because normally, even when I was going through my major kind of huge doubts about where I stood as far as my faith went, if there was a God, if what all this meant, praise music still was an anchor for me, and it still deeply affected me. I would be, I'd go to church and just not wanting to be there, just kind of testing God, like, look, God, if you are real, why am I even here? Why I'm at this church service. I don't necessarily agree with everything the pastor is saying, but once the praise music would start, and it's just something would just come over me, and I would just, find myself just with tears down my face. And just mainly because I wanted God to show himself right there, just out of frustration, maybe those tears are coming out of my face, but the music brought all this out. But the music was always about trusting God and praising him for what he's done in our lives. Never once was a praise song talking about, being thankful that God would crush me and then bring me up or anything like that. So that's the main contention with that song. It's like, and other people may feel differently about this, but I feel that if you're going to be writing a praise song, like if you're doing a praise album, and people may disagree with me, but you should probably, write things that lift people up, maybe have more of an arc there, but the things about God, breaking our hearts and slaying us, I don't think has any place in a praise song. And that's just my opinion. So I wrote something about it, and let's see where did I end up here? So I end this little. I want to read the last paragraph that I wrote. I have faith in a God who loves each one of us, no matter what. I believe he wants what's best for us. The book of Job shouldn't be misconstrued as true ancient history. I'm under the impression that it's a parable told by Moses to the Israelites in order to show a worst possible scenario. From the story of Job, I take away many things, but most importantly, I think it illustrates that doubt, depression, anger, and suicidal thoughts are a human reality. Job illustrates that these are very human and natural responses to tragedy. It's irrelevant who caused the tragedy in the first place, but I think the author of Job is clear that these events weren't directly caused by God himself. So I put out the challenge. Read the entire book of Job, read these lyrics, listen to the song. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And I put out the call on my Facebook, that I'm going to be talking about this article, and I would love to hear what you guys think. And I got some responses on the article here. I know who they are. Let's see. User Josephus writes, he writes, to believe in a God that loves all of us no matter what, and that he wants what's best for us is hard to digest in the state of the world we currently live in. That's saying that God created or allowed suffering in the world simply because it's for our own good. If God can create a perfect place like heaven where there is no separation from him and us, then why couldn't he do that in the first place? Sincerely, Josephus. And he's bringing up, I think, more than what I wanted to bring up in the article, right? So I'm focused on. I'm not really focused on Job, the book of Job as a whole. I think there's a lot to gain from the book of Job. I don't think you can take it as history, though, because I don't think it's written to be history of this guy. I think that there's an overarching lesson that no matter what we're going through in our lives, that we will get out of it, and that cursing God and that giving up is not the way to go. That if you see things through, if you pursue truth, and if if you're Christian, Jewish, whatever, this is a Hebrew Bible story. As long as you have your eyes focused on God and not cursing the one who created you, that you will, go through it. Basically, the book of Job shows me that giving up is not the way to go. But my article is basically about this praise song. And let's see. We got Brett. Brett wrote this. I never thought of this as a parable before as told by Job. I don't think it's told by Job. I think it's told by Moses. But anyway, Brett says, maybe I didn't read closely enough, but I like thinking of it in that way as opposed to what I've grown up believing, that God allowed it all to happen to prove how strong someone's faith should be. Quote, religion is the opiate of the people, Marx wrote, and it's true and has been true since the dawn of religion. What better way to keep people in line than the promise of a great reward or a great punishment upon death based on how you act when, quote, no one but God is watching. I'm a Christian, but have come to the point where I can't be unless I believe also that the Bible is an imperfect book touched by the hands of men with good intentions, of course, and even divinely inspired, but still flawed, sometimes deeply so. Thanks, Brett, for that. And there's a lot of interesting points can be brought up through this conversation, and I don't think we should be wanting suffering. I think we should look at the Job and stories like this as, how to attack a situation, and whatever tragedy can come in your life, that you're above that tragedy and you will see the end of, the light at the end of the tunnel. If you see it through and you stay strong and you stick to your convictions and your faith, or even not faith. I mean, these stories can be read by non-Christians too, non-religious people too. It's all about getting through the situation, right? Not letting the situation get the best of you. So that's what I think Job's saying, and I think it's a parable, probably written by Moses. So, anyway, interesting stuff, right? It's all about having these conversations and digging into the Bible and really any holy book. I mean, I really want to start reading some other holy books and seeing what stories they have too, because this is all just very interesting. All right, I'm going to play one more song, and I'm going to wrap up here after this. Been wanting to play. I was listening, kind of trying to discover new artists earlier in the week, and I found this. The artist is called The Innocence Mission, and I really like the song. The song's called Rain, and it's from the album My Room in the Trees. And we'll be back to wrap up after this. This is The Innocence Mission with Rain, Setting Out in the Leaf Boat. All right, that was The Innocence Mission. Song's called Rain, Setting Out on the Leaf Boat. And the album is called My Room in the Trees. Very awesome album. You should definitely check it out. It's on Spotify. And I want to thank all of you for tuning into this show. It's good to kind of be back in the swing of things, and I have a lot more to talk about, a lot more on my mind, and I'm hoping to have a lot of great guests to cover the wide gambit of religion and and everything that goes along with it. So, I should let you know that I do have a Spotify playlist. I'm going to post it on the show notes. Definitely check it out. I have all the songs that I've played on all past shows, and some good stuff there. And you can find me on Twitter. My handle on Twitter is the AxPx, and you can go to Facebook. Find me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/theaxpx. And find me there. Like the show, like the page. I post a lot of news stories that I find during the week. A lot of goofy things that that come to my mind. Like the other day, I was wondering. I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, if Jesus came a little bit later, right, and he, instead of dying by the cross, which is the cross was an ancient torture tool used by the Romans. What if he was killed by an electric chair? I mean, would we all have like electric chairs hanging around our necks? Would churches have like an electric chair on their steeple? Probably. I would say probably. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to do a show on that, on religious symbolism, because the cross wasn't adopted until later on in Christianity. Most of the time, it was the fish, the Christian fish that you see on the back of people's cars. Now it's relegated to the back of people's cars now. I got a problem with bumper stickers and stuff like that too. So, there's a lot of stuff in my brain that I can dig up and talk about. But we'll do a future show on that. I'll have to find a guest, and we'll chat about religious symbolism and what we think about it. So you can always email me anything you think about the show. If you have a comment about anything I talked about, something to add to the conversation, email me. My name is Sean, SEAN, @theaxpx.com. drop me a line there. You can write me an email, or you can even attach like an MP3 with our, if you have an iPhone, you just go to the voice recorder. You can record something simple right there, and you can email it to me straight from your phone right after you record it. So I would love to hear from you that way. If I get any audio from any of you listening, any feedback, I would definitely play it on the show if it's relevant to the conversation. And I would just love to hear from you. Like I said, I don't want this show to be about me or my agenda or anything like that. I want it to be a conversation that we all kind of jump in and further along in the conversation and learn from each other. And I kind of have big ideas for the show, and just think it can just be a great tool for us to all just chat about stuff that we normally, in the office, you kind of stray away from talking religion and politics and stuff like that. And this is kind of a safe way to kind of get that information out there, and the conversation started and probably never ended. The conversation probably go on for a long time. Like I said, thanks for joining me here on the show. Really appreciate all of you who listen. The two of you, you know who you are. Spread the word, please. Let people know about it. And if you ever want to be on the show, definitely drop me a line via email, Sean@theaxpx.com. And if we have something to talk about, we'll definitely do it. All right. Look for a show next week. Don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but someday I think I'll have shows pre-planned. But just next week I'll have another one, and enjoy this one and spread the word. And that's it. So I'll talk to all of you next week. Hope you guys all have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.